Welcome, everybody, to Junction Reads. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Edith Blais with us today to talk about The Weight of Sand, her incredible memoir slash poetic journey through 50 days that is just incomprehensible. Edith, welcome to Junction Reads.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming. It's exciting. You're joining us from Utah on a van life journey through the United States, which is exciting. And before we get started officially, I'm going to share a land acknowledgement, if that's okay. And anyone else from wherever you're joining us today, please, if you want to take a moment to acknowledge where you are, you can share it in the chat if you know, and if you don't, just acknowledge it on your own. So we are in Tekaronto, which for thousands of years has been the traditional land of the Wendat Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. I am specifically joining you from Adubagok, which is the place of the alders in Michi-Saagiig language. Both are still home to many Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on their territory. Edith, before we hear your poetry, which I am so excited to hear you read, would you like to talk about what you're currently reading?
Yeah, I just got a book. It seems super interesting. I kept seeing it on shelves. It's called Clara and the Sun, probably. Oh, you can see it on the other side. Anyways, maybe you heard about it. It's really interesting. I'm not very far, but what's interesting is the way that you have like an artificial life that doesn't have a lot of emotions, but you could see in her mind, like she analyzes a lot of things, and she analyzes a lot of human behavior and everything. So it's really interesting, and it's really well written. But yeah, I can't wait to continue. I'm like just at the beginning. It's
nice.
Good.
So the protagonist, the main character, is an artificial intelligence?
Yeah, it's an artificial friend. So it's like the kids, they get these artificial friends to stay with them because it's like a modern world where people are. It's it's a strange word. I'm starting to get into it, but it's different. Like kids can have artificial friends that are there to help them and
keep them company and
keep them company. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Wow. So we are going to hear, I hope everybody has joined the room today. We are going to hear Edith share her poetry in French. Kaylee is going to share the translated version in the chat. And here we go. I'm just so excited.
Okay, we start. Okay. Let me get this. So the first one is Le bout du monde. Mais qui a dit que la terre était ronde? J'ai les pieds qui se balancent dans le vide. Je crois avoir trouvé le bout du monde. C'est un bout de terre un peu translucide. Je voulais me reposer en attendant, mais le temps s'étire dans l'univers. Je me suis assise là où s'arrête le vent, là où le bleu s'efface dans les airs. J'ai le néant qui me frôle les orteils et l'éternel qui se lève autour de mes doigts. Je crois que c'est ici que le soleil se réveille, là où naissent ces couleurs qui brillent sur moi. J'observe patiemment un cours d'eau qui tombe, chutant sans cesse dans l'abysse noir, emportant avec elle les images du monde qu'il traînait sur son infini miroir. J'ai la gravité qui me tient par un fil et mes couleurs deviennent livides. J'observe tranquillement le temps qui défile, frôlant les mystères, les pieds dans le vide.
That's beautiful. You talk about in the book, outside of this beautiful poem, in the book, you talk a lot about time and this feeling that you weren't, and you allude to it in the poem, this feeling that you were not only trapped by these men, trapped by this group, but that you were trapped also by time.
Yeah, I was feeling. Yeah, go. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's it. How has that experience? I mean, I can't imagine the experience at the moment, but how has that experience affected you overall?
I think it's just it's something very hard to explain. The way I was feeling is if I was trapped in the middle of nowhere, like in the infinite, and time was not going forth or backwards. I was just floating there and doing nothing, just waiting, and nothing was happening. And and you don't know when things are going to stop or if they're going to stop. And I know I was alone in my book. At one point I was alone for 6 months, and my time was, it wasn't going anywhere. I was just floating. And
it sounded more like torture, like the idea of days passing and not knowing. You reference that in the time that you were with the women in the women's camp, that two of the women kept track of the days. So they would wake up in the morning and say, December 5, and the other woman would say, yes, it's December 5th. And that's how they kept track. Did you maintain that sense of where you were in the year or in the month?
When I left the women, I continued maybe for a month. And after that, you get at a point and I was like, why do I bother? What does it change? Does time really matter? Where am I?
Exactly.
What is time? Time is no longer something for me. And so I just stopped. But and that was I had also Christmas and New Year's Eve. So at one point, I didn't even know if I was like in what year I was in, because I lost track. So that was weird.
Yeah. And you had 2 New Year's that you went over, right? Like 2 from 2018 to 19 and 19.
Yeah, the first one with Luca, we were together, and the other one I was alone.
Yeah, that's incredible. And each of these poems, we're going to hear another one right now, which I'm thrilled. Each of these poems are marked by a day in captivity. Yeah,
that's it. I got the ones that I had track was most of the time, only like maybe 3 months that I was lost. I went like maybe somewhere around this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was wondering when you talked about time in one part of the novel. I thought you probably spent a lot of time after you escaped, you probably spent a lot of time going back and thinking, when was this around?
I wrote on the poems, I wrote the time, and only the last ones, but there's not so many because I didn't have a pen anymore at the end when I lost track of time. So pretty much the whole time that was written is pretty much a good date.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so what are we going to hear next?
Okay, so we have Au Restaurant des Délices. This is the one that my sister loves because she finds it funny that I was making fun of the situation, even if it was really bad. So, I'm going to read it. Venez manger, très chers invités. Vous pourrez goûter à nos délices. Au restaurant, du mouton entravé, du riz et des pâtes sans épices. Essayez donc le riz sur lit de pâte ou nos fameuses nouilles en sauce au riz. Allez, venez, on vous gâte. Venez manger avec grand appétit. La table des sables vous attend, s'intégrant merveilleusement à la sauce. Vous la trouverez dessus, dessous et dedans. Votre énervement sera à la hausse. Venez déguster en toute sérénité. Des hommes armés vous attendent. Vous désignant votre table attitrée, vous trouverez une ambiance à détendre.
Yeah, I loved that. And there was I can't remember if it was before or after the experience of the sandstorm, when you were in the truck and going along, and you had this moment where it was magical, and this feeling like I'm never going to experience something like this again. And so
I was outer space at that moment.
Yeah.
It was really crazy because we were inside of dome, and the dome was made out of sand because it was just swirling like this. And because the sun was so strong, trying to go through all the sand, and the sand was not all the same color. So the sands that were like reddish, it was like a reddish color, and then yellowish color. Everything was changing colors. It was, it was crazy.
Yeah. It's so, I love how you put it in the book. You say it was magical because it was exactly how I felt inside. And then I didn't want to miss a second of the show. I was trying to absorb these visions to keep them in my memory and in my heart forever.
Yeah.
That to me was so impactful, because I thought, how difficult would it be for you to be in this horrible situation and yet be experiencing something that you will carry with you, because it was a once in a lifetime experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm very close to whatever is life, and I was feeling like life was also enraged that I was kidnapped. Like, he was shaking the car, like, let her out.
Like the sand was on your side.
It was on my side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. And we're going to hear another poem.
Okay. So this one is Navire fantôme. Les cloches résonnaient dans tout le quartier, sonnant les 13 coups du destin. L'heure d'un embarquement venait d'arriver. Tête baissée, j'ai pris mon ombre par la main. Je m'approchais du navire fantôme, suivant la file des condamnés, avec mon délit inscrit dans ma paume, désorienté dans la foule d'étrangers. Ils ont largué les amarres, et le vent s'est pris dans les voiles déchirées, transportant le navire vers les brouillards qui longeaient la terre des oubliés. J'observais mon ombre, elle me fixait, en cherchant de l'espoir dans mon regard. Je tenais sa main dans la mienne qui tremblait. Je devais avoir un peu froid dans le noir. Le silence est venu nous accompagner. Il devait pourtant nous surveiller de loin. Je crois qu'il cherchait à nous rassurer, mais j'aurais préféré qu'il reste dans son coin. Je voyais bien qu'on n'avançait nulle part, et tous les visages s'étaient embrouillés. Mon ombre, terrifiée, me quittait vers l'illusoire.
That's incredible. I can't say enough. I'm sure you've heard it from everybody, how incredibly strong you look to have survived this, to have lived it, but to have created this beautiful poetry in that space, in that emotionally torturous space. Were there times that you thought, and I know you do say that there was times you felt hopeless, but how much of the experience did you live feeling hopeful that day was going to come, that you were going to be out of there? And how much of it was spent just, oh, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep hoping all the time that it's going to change, but do you believe it really? I mean, when I met the women, they were hostages for 2 years, 3 years. I mean, 2 years and a half. And I was there with my little 3 months when I was with them. And that I understood that I was not going to get out very soon. And days are so long, you can't tell yourself you're going to be there for years. I mean, you can't go there. You think you're going to get crazy. So you say, okay, well, I'm going to go through this day and let's see what happens. And then tomorrow it's going to be another day. And then the next day you say, okay, I'm going to go through this day and just do this day. And then tomorrow is going to be another day. And then you go like that. And you just hold on to the little flame that's trying not to fall into despair, because it's already hard to go through a day. If you're in despair, I mean, it would be horrible. So you just try to hold on.
Yeah, it's, at one point in the book, you mentioned July 9th, which just happens to be my birthday. And I was struck because I thought back to that day. Like I was, reading it and thinking, oh my gosh, like what was I doing on July 9th? And Edith is out in the middle of the Sahara desert and like that, I don't know, it's just that division of life, right? Like that division of experiences that reminded me we never know what other people are going through on one day of the year. How, and I know this is might be a difficult question to ask, and I was hesitant in asking it, but I also as a reader feel like I wanted a bit of hope. Have you been in touch or heard anything about the women that you were with, or anyone else that you met?
It's actually a good story because, yeah.
My gosh.
As I came out like in May, March, sorry, I mixed
That's
up.
okay.
March, and Sophie, Elizabeth in my book,
Yeah.
she got out in November the same year. They exchanged 200 and something jihadists against 4 hostages.
Wow.
It was her Elizabeth was exchanged. Another Mali, a man from Mali, and the 2 Italians that Luca was with.
Wow.
For a long time. They were out. And then another great story, not so long ago, the Linda, the one I called in my book, she got out also. I have no idea how, but I think it was, she was religious. So it's probably,
right.
I don't know, an exchange. I don't know. I never knew, but she got out.
Christian leaders or something got in touch with.
I guess.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's why I was reluctant to ask, because I thought, oh my gosh, what if I ask? And then it's that's so fantastic. Have you been in touch with them? Are you able to?
Yeah, we're in touch.
Nice.
There's one sad story, and is the one that I call Mirage. She got executed while the 2 women were still with them, but she was very, very mentally ill, and I mean, we kind of knew it could happen because she was pushing them all the time. So
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, but the 2 others are out, and I mean, the 2 Italians, everybody that I met actually came out.
Yeah. And are you still in touch with Luca? You still communicate?
Yeah.
Regularly? Nice.
He just gave me some pictures of his cow that got little babies.
Oh, nice. He's in Italy still?
He's in Italy, yeah. He lives like on a farm. They have pigs, cows, and they get their milk and everything. It's nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, we're going to hear another poem.
Okay.
Notice how I'm spreading it out so that the joy is spread out over the...
It's the last one. Okay. Foudroyé. La lumière s'échappait par la porte d'ébène, posant ses doigts sur un orage, avec des éclats de pureté dans les veines qui illuminaient le ciel devenu sauvage. Elle s'électrisait dans mon regard, m'aveuglant de ses 1000 brillances. Elle voulait émerger du noir, explosant son corps de toute sa puissance. J'étais foudroyée sur une terre perdue, encerclée par des images indomptées, rampant derrière moi comme des ombres déchues, traînant, ondulant leur noirceur lacérée. Un éclair traversait dans mon ventre, se décuplant dans mes yeux étonnés, délaissant sa lumière qui tournait dans mon centre, me figeant sur place dans une image saccadée. La foudre détonnait sous ma peau, se frayant un chemin sous mes poils hérissés, faisant battre mon cœur en sursaut, poursuivant les frissons qui s'étaient échappés.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I felt because at one point when I was alone for 5 months, I got a video from Luca. And once I got this video, my heart stopped. I had this big, I felt like I was thunderstruck. It's really how I could explain the feeling. And that's when I wrote it. This poem.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was also at the very beginning, because all of the lights and the beautiful imagery in this poem reminded me of the beginning experience when you had to take your contact lenses out and you lost vision. Basically, you lost the brightness and all of the clearness in your experience. How has that experience of not seeing as clearly as you might have, how has that experience changed your relationship with vision? I mean, I know that you're driven by world travel and seeing and experiencing life and the world, but how has that experience changed your idea of vision, not just as eyesight, but...
I remember just you don't realize what you lose. Well, before you lose it, like how much. And I remember when I put back my contact lenses after 15 months, and I saw the faces of the people I was talking to, and I see their expression when I was talking to them. And I remember that was the most wonderful thing, to be able to see their facial expression. Sorry.
Yeah.
When I was talking to them, that was really, really wonderful. The colors I could see, it was just, everything was blurry, so I couldn't see. So I think that's the thing that hit me the most. And also it was very dangerous because the men, when I was a woman, they tried to not come close to me. So they were making me signs. And when we were rushed, I mean, sometimes we had to flee, and then they were telling me to do stuff, but I couldn't see what they were telling me to. And I didn't want them to think that I was rebelling or anything, because I don't want to get into trouble. But they didn't understand that I couldn't see, because I don't know why. I guess they all see well, I don't know. So that was kind of, sometimes it was kind of dangerous, but I managed, and everything's fine. Yeah.
And when you escaped, it was the middle of the night. I can't even imagine the darkness on top of not having your clear vision at the time.
Yeah, when it was pretty dark because of the sand and in the air, it was even the stars we couldn't see in the beginning. So I remember I was following Luca. I was holding his arm like really, really close, not to make any noise on the rocks or anything. And at one point, when we got further and we could start to talk a little bit because we were far enough, I asked him, like, do you see something? And he said, no. Like, okay, I thought it's because I didn't have any contacts, but it was so dark that even I was relying on him, and he was following Venus, because it's the only bright star. Well, it's not a star, it's a planet, but it's a bright light that we could see. It's the only one we could see that was bright enough. And he was just following that.
Oh my God.
Can see, even he couldn't see. So I thought it was shit. I mean, I was relying on him, and he was relying on the light.
on the one light in the sky. Yeah, that's incredible. And the throughout the book there, you're taken to another camp. If they suspected that someone discovered where they were, you were, as you just said, uplifted and taken somewhere else. And throughout all of that displacement, you experienced different groups of men, right? Like some were great, were happy, were generous, and some were not so much. Can you talk about that? How hard that must have been to wake up in the morning and know that the good people are leaving? And
I think at the beginning, the first group we had was the worst group. We started with the worst, me and Luca, and they asked us to stay in some small places that we couldn't even it was too small. They wanted us to put our feet inside. We couldn't even lay down. We couldn't go up. So we had to lay down like 24 hours a day. They didn't. And it was hard to communicate with them. If we wanted to go pee, sometimes they were telling, like, they were going crazy. Yeah, they did some crazy things. We never, because we couldn't understand them, and maybe they were just crazy. I don't know. And it's with them that we stopped eating and drink, and they took us water for 5 days. 5 days, no water in the desert. I mean, we could have died. We didn't eat for 20 days until the 25th without water. It was crazy. And they were cruel, and they looked at us like we were non-believers, because they're very, 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 very religious and extremists, radical. So they were looking at us like if we were worse than things, because things, at least, I mean, it's not their choice if they don't believe or not. So that was really hard. But at the end, when I was alone as a woman, I was really lucky, because I found some people that even looked at me with like nice eyes, empathy. Well, not really. They don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of empathy, but they have kindness. There's some of them that had kindness, and you saw that they wanted well, and they thought that they were doing the right thing because they were following orders and they were doing their prayers. So they would have a special place in paradise. But
Yeah, there was a moment when you got pictures and letters, and the group that you were with, when they saw the picture of you and your dad arm wrestling, and and they just loved that, because
that was a funny thing, because it's like, if at one point everybody that was coming, new people, they were always asking me to show this picture that I had with my father that I received in October. And each time they saw it, they were like, Baba. And they were looking like if they understood that I had a father, and if there were fathers, maybe, I don't know, they were thinking of, oh, if my daughter got caught, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, there's something weird there. I mean, they're getting like a little bit friendly.
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly what you said. It was a reminder to them that you were a human being.
Yeah,
and not
exactly.
just like you were a daughter, you were, you know, the wife of Luca, that you were somebody that other people loved. I thought it was I don't know.
Yeah, and one funny thing,
I don't want to say lucky, but it was like a good thing to have happened that you got those photos.
Yeah, and at the end, there was the chef that asked me if I was going to go back home, if I was going to convert my father to Islam.
Yeah,
it was something important for him, because my father would convert his whole family, and then I mean, they would have done good, you know.
Yeah, I loved that when they talked to you about converting, and both you and Luca went through the the to please them. I guess you just kind of went through the process with them. But I loved what you said about I don't know if you said it to them. I'm interested to know if you did say it to them. The idea that we, you know, there is only one God, but that we are all just people of the earth, and not guided by religious dogma. Did you ever have conversations with them about that? Or
when I was alone, and then I stopped eating for the second time, there was a chef that came, but he was a little crazy. I called him Crazy Eyes.
Yeah.
And he's the one that told me that I was going to convert to Islam. And then I was like, I don't think this is why you came. You came because I wasn't eating. I was like, where are you going? I don't want to convert, you know. And we started to have a discussion. He said, if I don't try to convert you, and then we go to paradise together and beside God, and he's going to ask me, why did I not try to convert you? And I didn't make you convert. And what am I going to look like, you know, if I don't do this? So I have to do it. And in my mind, I was like, you're kidnapping me. I mean, you're keeping me hostage, and you think God's going to think, where are you in your mind?
Exactly.
I'm the bad guy. Like, they were not, I mean, I don't know.
No. Like,
that was a weird conversation. I mean, I had to stop because he was getting mad. So I was like, I just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. Like God's not going to judge you for not converting me to Islam. He's going to judge you for other problems.
No, because they were doing it on the mission of Allah. So they were going to even get like a little tap in their back. Yeah. That's what they thought.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. like Allah's going to think that.
Yeah.
So I want to open it up to everyone. If you have any questions, I realized that I just jumped into the reading and I did not share your biography, but I'm interested to talk to you about your poetry and also your visual art, which is included in the back and the front cover of the book. It's so beautiful. So you are a world traveling poet, a visual artist, and your strength and spirit is evidenced in The Weight of Sand. We are going to raffle off a copy of The Weight of Sand from Greystone Books in a little while. But if anyone has any questions for Edith, please put them in the chat and Kaylee can ask on your behalf. And so I want to talk about the 57 poems that you managed to escape with, and you had, I don't know how many you had altogether. I can't remember if you mentioned that in the book.
Yeah, more than 100 for sure.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I wanted to know, were these the 57 best poems, or are there some that you kind of remember writing or remember putting down on paper that you lost?
They're not. There's the one that I kept is mostly the ones that were after the woman that I left with with the woman, and then I continued. So it's mostly the ones after and the best with the women. So it's like a mix.
Right.
That I kept.
And have you written since then?
Yeah, I did. Not a lot though, because I think it took me so much energy well, not energy, but it is something, to write a book. And it was very intense. I did it quickly, and I was writing every day. And I really liked the experience, even if, I was talking about this. I liked the experience of writing because I love to write. And for me, it was easier to write it to talk about it. So I was like, I won't have to talk about it all the time if I write it. But it doesn't really work that way.
No, that's what happens when your publisher says, no. You have to talk about it too. Yeah.
But anyways, I like to write. I think that's the thing. And I like, it was fun to explain everything and to think about it and like how to explain it and make it sense in my mind. I was like cleaning everything, and it was something good I did. And I don't know, why was I talking about that?
Oh no, so I want to.
Where am I going?
I know. We're going back. My question is, have you written more since then?
Oh yeah, that's it.
I think it's a selfish question because I want to know if there's going to be a book of poetry that I'm going to be able to read at some point from you.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Not for now.
Okay.
I think I put a lot of my energy, and now I'm just taking a little break.
Yeah.
And it's like phases usually. Even before this, I was I love to travel, and I'm traveling a lot. And so like some phases I was going to coffees or on the beach writing poems, and I was loving it. And after that, there was like a blank page phase, and then going back. And so it's always like that.
Yeah. And how long are you going to be traveling around the States for?
I have to be I'm going to be working in British Columbia in the month of July. So we have until July to go up. We want to do BC first. So
okay.
Yeah, so sometime.
Nice. And what are you going to do in BC?
I have a friend and I'm going to work in a cafe with him.
Nice.
He's like a seasonal, it's in a Jasper. I talk about it in my book.
Oh yes, beautiful.
I love Jasper. So I'm just going to go with him and like work 2 months and go back home.
Yeah, that's nice. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm not very good at looking at the chat.
I have a question from Lois, and Lois asks, what is your relationship with travel now versus before 2018? What do you think has changed about your view of the world and travel?
I'm a little, before this, I was a little bit, I don't know if you could say reckless. I was like, I'm not scared of anything. And I was just going to extremes and like to prove something maybe to myself that I could do it. And now I know I can do whatever I want. So I'm kind of quiet, and I'm like, now I'm traveling in a van. It's safe. I'm in the United States. I'm always going to keep the safe in my mind. For me, also for my family. If I would tell them I'm going to Africa, they would die. So yeah. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it for me nor for my family. So yeah, right. I'm older. I don't know. I'm more mature.
It changes. Well, I can't even imagine that it wouldn't. It's almost sad, really, when you think that. Africa is it's so beautiful. I was imagine.
Dreaming of going to Africa since I was little. I was seeing like Africa, and I was always. I was doing African dance. I was doing djembe. I was doing. I don't know. I always was super close to whatever they were doing. I wanted to dance like no shoes, like on the earth, like them being like close to the earth and everything. And I think I was just like unlucky, so it happens. Because the people I met some people. I went to this village. The people were so nice. They were even giving us things that they didn't have anything, and they wanted us to stay to eat with them, and they were so nice. And
Yeah.
so I mean, we just got some bad people, but there's a lot of good people in Africa for sure.
Yeah, I know. It's almost sad that it's changed. It's
It's hard for them,
I guess,
and
your world traveling spirit, right? Because of the fear now.
I'm gonna choose there's a lot of places to go.
Yes.
So yeah. I did a lot, and I'll just be like more careful.
Yeah. So how is your visual art a part of your life? Like, are you drawing all the time? Or?
Usually what I do is when I'm home, I paint and I draw a lot. I make up for it because when I travel, I don't bring anything with me.
Right.
And usually when I travel, I write. So I kind of mix them. But right now, actually, I bought a book and I'm drawing. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed it up, but I'm not painting. Yeah. I mean, it's just like drawings and stuff. But I always have to do it because it's my way of like. It makes me feel good. I mean, it's like people like to meditate. Some people like to do some stuff that makes you like feel really good inside. And me, it's when I do art, when I create. So
yeah. That I hope, I mean, I want you to enjoy life and do your own thing. You don't have to create art for me, but imagining poetry and those beautiful sketches in one book, I just can't imagine that wouldn't be one of the most gorgeous things I would own. If they were together in a book.
Together.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I love painting. I love, not me personally, but I love art. And the visual mixed with the literary, I've always thought is just not graphic novels, but like that visual artistry and poetry mixed together has always just been so beautiful.
It's something I was thinking of actually doing. Yeah, I'll tell you when I do it. But yeah, if I would just have to start writing more, but writing poetry and putting the art with the poetry and mixing it is actually something I did think of doing and I would like to do. So
good.
If ever I do it, I'll let you know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you have my email address and anytime. We have one more question. Sue?
Yes, we have a question from Sue. And Sue asks, did you ever lose touch with reality? For instance, during the hunger strike? If not, how did you keep yourself grounded?
At one point when I was alone, I remember I was just trying to pass time and I was doing this. And that was never do that. I remember I went so far in my mind. I remember at one point, I didn't know how to come back. Like I was so far, I was not on Earth anymore. And I was like, how do I come back? And once I came back, I got a real good scare. And then I was like, I'm never going to do that again. So I was always trying to not try to daydream so much because I have daydream, not try to daydream or be in my mind and try to be more in reality. So I was looking at the sand and at the insects.
Yeah. That must especially for someone who has a creative mind. I mean, the need to actually get out of your mind is part of being creative. So that must have been really challenging. Like have to stay grounded in this.
And I couldn't see anything. So, I mean, I had to stay in this blurry thing that, I mean, I couldn't see anything. It was like a bluish here and then yellow here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
okay. Before we do the raffle, I want to talk to you because, you know, having now lived through 2 years of this pandemic, you missed that very beginning where we all thought the world was ending. And I love the part of the book where when you come out, nobody's shaking your hand, nobody's doing anything, everyone's touching elbows. And I love when you say you thought it was a custom in Mali. You're like, okay, I get Mali. I guess this is what they do. How was that? How was your experience just coming out into the pandemic?
Well, I mean, I remember when I was in solitude or like isolated for so long, I was like,
Yeah.
anything could happen. I mean, the world could be exploding and I wouldn't even know. I mean, you come
Right.
out and then it was Luca had to go back to Rome and that's where it was crazy. So they
Yeah.
said like in Italy, it's really, really bad. And they tried to explain us quickly, like what was happening. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, like, wow. Okay, that's big news.
Yeah.
So that's where and then they told me you're going to go back home and then you're going to quarantine for 2 weeks with your mother in her house. You can't go out. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I was already quarantined. But no, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but it was so much better. I was just so happy. I was like on a high. I like, whatever, like,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll quarantine with my mother. I'm going to be so happy to see her.
Yeah.
So
Like,
it was just, everything was just so much better. It was just, but yeah, it's crazy how things happen so quickly, you know?
yeah. And I wondered at one point, I thought it must have been kind of an not necessary, but an important transition, maybe not 2 years of being tied down, but having that, not being thrown out into the world, because it was such an incredible story and incredible experience. If we weren't in the pandemic, I can't imagine, you probably would have been hounded by
Yeah,
media constantly. There probably you would have been stalked. And
yeah,
so the pandemic probably played a little role as a calmer of that time, which
yeah. That was really helpful. I didn't go into the media after 1 year. I
yeah,
mean, once the book was out, then I started. But before that, I mean, I had time to come back,
yeah,
like, mhm.
yeah. That's the only good thing that the pandemic did
Yeah,
for
yeah. It wasn't all bad for me. It was like you
no.
said, it was like a transition for me. I was
Mhm.
going from solitude, extreme solitude, and just coming back slowly. It was just
Yeah,
like slowly instead of like crazy.
exactly. Getting thrown out to the like wolves of the media.
But that happened when I was in Bamako. There was media all over, and that's where I experienced it because I was coming, and then there was media all over, and I kind of panicked. So
Yeah.
I was happy that didn't happen when I came back home.
Yeah, no, I was looking at some of the one, I posted one shot of you on Instagram, but I was looking at all of those pictures of you and Luca just afterwards and all of the people around you. And I thought, oh my gosh, that must have been so overwhelming for you.
Yeah, I was following him. I was like, I was panicking. I was like, oh my god, so many people, flashes everywhere, and like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's amazing. I am so grateful that you spent this time with us today to share your story and to answer our questions.
Well, thank you for
Um,
inviting me.
I am excited. I won't hold my breath, but I am excited about future art coming from you. I urge I urge everybody to go out and get this book. You can get it from a lot of independent bookstores, and you can go to greystonebooks.com and there's a direct link there to where you can purchase the book. For now, we are going to raffle off one copy. And then once we get the video up and we do all of the post media stuff, we're going to raffle off another copy on social media. So Kaylee, who is our winner?
I always forget to spotlight myself, so I'm like getting ready to start talking and have to remember that people have to see me. All right, shake it up. All right, our winner for today is Sue Langdon. Congratulations,
Yay!
Sue.
That's so great. Sue, if you can send me an email to junctionwrites@gmail.com and include your full name and address, that would be great. And if you've already got a copy, you can nominate somebody else. You can nominate to gift the book to someone else. As long as I have the address, then we can send it to them. Edith, thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
us
thank you.
today again.
It's my pleasure.
Enjoy your traveling, enjoy the van. I hope that you get nice weather, and and you have no snow coming into your van in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
everybody, we are back here on May 7th with Charlotte Mendel and her YA novel, Reversing Time. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Kaylee, for all the hard work that you do behind the scenes. And Edith, thank you again.
Okay. Thank you.
Here.
Bye.
Bye.
Mm.